Let's talk about Heisman because the race is starting to heat up, in particular after last week when Hendon Hooker just put on a show in that victory for Tennessee over Alabama. And that certainly vaulted him up. I thought before last week it was kind of clearly C.J. Stroud in the lead. And now, it's a nice little two-horse race and maybe even three. So let's get into it. Let's look at the way that I see it as of right now. Okay, these are my top six. And before I go through some of these six, I do want to just give a shout out to other names that I was considering for this. Guys like Max Duggan at TCU, DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson, Cam Rising at Utah after that performance. I thought that he should garner a little bit of a mention. Drake May at North Carolina, Sam Hartman at Wake, Chase Brown at Illinois, what he's doing on the ground. Those are other names that I considered, but I landed on these six. And the guys at 6 and 5, although they lost last week, man, it wasn't because they didn't play well. Caleb Williams and Bryce Young were unbelievable in both of those matchups, USC falling to Utah and Alabama falling to Tennessee. So they're still going to stay there. And when it comes to Heisman's, you've got to understand that really two things make a Heisman winner. Great play and big stages. And so at least in to this part in the season, both of these guys have played great, but on their biggest stages so far, they've fallen short. Bryce Young, even though he had that great performance against Texas, Tennessee, they aren't able to win the game, and then USC with Utah. At number 4, I've got Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think that when people see that, they're surprised, and it's not just because they're undefeated. It's really because he's, right now, playing the best in the Pac-12. One of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's got a dual threat aspect to his game that I really love. I think he's throwing the ball better than he has ever in his career. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry on the ground and giving them a threat with his legs. And that team is really good. I think that they're going to win this weekend at Oregon. And because of that, I think that he will continue to stay and maybe even build a case toward the Heisman Trophy. But now we're going to get to the top 3, and I want to take you inside what I was talking about great play, because we understand great stages and big stages, and in particular late in the season, we're going to see those play out. And we understand what it looks like when you play great in those moments. But what does it mean to just be a great player overall? Well, great players do a couple of things, and they do it really well. Great players, when everything is going right, they excel. Okay? So I would say this is you're excelling in the fundamentals and the basics of your offensive or defensive structure, but in these 3 cases, offensive. And then the secondary thing that you have to do to be a great player, an elite player, is that when things don't look good, you've got to be able to play above the X's and O's and make it impossible for the opposition to be right. So let's take a look at these top 3 guys on my list, Blake Corum, Hendon Hooker, and C.J. Stroud. And I want to give you an example of exactly what I mean and what that looks like on the field. Let's start with Blake Corum at Michigan. Okay, so this is last week against Penn State. And right here, what you've got is you've got 7 offensive players and 7 defensive players in the run front. So you can block everybody. So this is an advantageous time to run the ball. And as you get this seal from the tight end, everybody's covered up. So from Blake Corum's perspective, the fundamentals and the basics of their system are great. And then he excels, right? So he doesn't get caught. When it's blocked for 8, he takes it to the house. So he's a plus runner. From a running back perspective, being a plus runner means if it's blocked for 4, you gain 8. If it's blocked for 8, you go the distance. And that was an example right there. The fundamentals and structure of the offense were perfect, and he takes it the distance. So when everything is right, can you excel? Can you be great? And that's clearly an example of it. Now, you've also got to be great when it's not advantageous. When the defense is winning, can you still make your offense right? Are you impossible to defend? Let's take a look at that. Here, Blake Corum is going to get this kind of a wide kind of stretch play from the shotgun, and I want you to see how great the defense is from Penn State. They play this perfectly and have him dead to rights behind the line of scrimmage. Abdul Carter right here, number 11, he's going to miss a tackle. This is behind the line of scrimmage. So they should have a tackle for loss. They've got 2 guys right there. He breaks both tackles, and it ends up being a 15-yard gain. So here the defense did everything right, and Blake Corum went above the X's and O's, and he's just better than everybody on the field. It should be a 2-yard loss. At at best for Michigan, it should be a 3-yard gain, maybe a 2-yard gain. He takes it for 15. So when everything's perfect and the offensive line does their job, he's taking it to the house. When nothing's perfect, he can still give you an explosive play. That's why Blake Corum is number 3 on my Heisman list right now. And obviously, he's been a workhorse for them. He's gotten a lot of carries and he's gotten a lot of production, but it's even more than that as example of what I just showed you. All right, let's take a look at the same kind of concept for Hendon Hooker. So when everything is right, can you excel? Well, right here, they're in the red zone, and what he's going to do is give a little play fake in the backfield, and he's going to see this safety that's coming down from his safety spot. So what does he got to do? Set up on time and deliver a strike to the skinny post behind him. And he does that. Boom! A missile right on the face mask, and it's a touchdown for Tennessee. So he's not doing anything extravagant above the X's and O's. He's operating within the system. He's being a game manager, and part of that game management is fake, eyes up, see the safety, turn, and throw a missile right on the face mask for a touchdown. But can you go above the X's and O's? Well, let's take a look at that. Sometimes a quarterback has just got to make a throw that nobody can defend, and this is an example. It's a slot fade right here, and Hendon Hooker is going to throw this ball 55 yards in the air. Look at the arc, first of all, and then the wide receiver doesn't break stride. You can't defend that. I don't care what corner is covering right there. When he throws a 55-yard go route in the air, and the wide receiver does not break his stride. That's incredible stuff. Like mind-blowing stuff right there. So within the offense and above the X's and O's. Let's take a look at C.J. Stroud. So these guys, by the way, they could be 1A, 1B right here. I think that these two guys are just right up there at the top. But C.J. Stroud, does he do these things? So when it's right, are you still making the play? Well, let's take a look. Okay, this is just outside of the red zone. He turns his back, which means he's got to locate the safety. So he flips his head around and he locates the safety, and he's trying to get a post behind the safety. Now, when the safety sinks, what does he do? He replaces him with the in route right on time. And again, look at that. Marvin Harrison doesn't break stride. Is that difficult for a quarterback? No, but he does everything with exquisite timing and accuracy, just like Hooker on the previous play that we just saw. Right on time, ball's thrown accurately, the wide receiver runs right through it. Yak, yards after the catch, is presented with ball placement and timing. It's perfect, and they get a touchdown because of it. All right, let's take a look at his ability to go above the X's and O's now. Now you got Michigan State, and they're actually going to win here. They've got everybody lined up like a blitz. You've got man-to-man coverage, and they get a free rusher. This free rusher should hit him right in the mouth. He should be fading away, throwing this ball away, trying to do something. What does he do? Back foots a dime to Marvin Harrison. That throw is ridiculous. Do you know how difficult it is to make that throw? He's got a guy right in his face, about ready to just drill him right in the chest, and he back foot fades away and puts it in basically a basketball hoop. I just can't. These guys and what they're doing up here, this is so good. It's so good. I get excited when I get to break down this film because of how good these guys have been playing. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.